Haven't been around. I haven't been around for a while. I was on retreat partly, and then I was also busy with some things prior to that. But I think you had some lovely sessions with Venerable Upeka and Venerable Terika in the past couple of weeks. But I'm back now again. So today I have a sutta that I wanted to go through. And the name of this sutta is, in English, it's called Kimsukopama. In Pali, it is Kimsukopama Sutta. So this comes up in the connected discourses, that is Samyutta Nikaya, in the chapter on Salayatana, and that is chapter on the sixth sense basis, one of my favorite chapters, but also a very powerful one as well, which has very nice deep sutta. So I hope you are in for a deep sutta this evening. But it also has, this sutta has two lovely similes. One of them is light, powerful. Another one is deep and powerful. And the whole sutta is powerful, but I may only be able to focus on one aspect today, and especially I want to focus on the very deep sutta, the simile at the very end. And we can discuss other aspects later. So let me first read out the sutta and see how we go. So this is how it starts. One bhikkhu approached another and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a bhikkhu's vision well purified?" In Pali, let me say what it says. In Pali, it says, kita kita vuta nukho auso bhikkhuno dassanang suvisuddhang hoti. Dassanang suvisuddhang hoti. Okay, so purified. The eye is purified. The vision is purified. So not talking about the vision as in get a better pair of glasses, right? Or clean your glasses. Not that. The vision is purified. The idea of vision here, dasana, is your knowledge and vision, yeah, your wisdom, so that your eyes are clear, as in the defilements are reduced or defilements are gone, or at least the hindrances are temporarily abandoned, so that you have a better view. Because in the past we have discussed about the hindrances, right? Briefly, the hindrances are the sensual desire, ill will and negativity, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. So these things, when they are in the mind, it clouds our vision, it distorts what we see, just like when there is oil smeared on a mirror. Then we see funny faces, right? These days you can use some apps and do the same thing, I see. But your vision gets distorted with these hindrances. So he's asking, how is the vision purified? So in other words, how are these hindrances abandoned so that you can see clearly? Good question, isn't it? So he's asking. So this is what the monks did at the time, because Buddha was not always available. There was no Zoom and things like that. So if you were lucky, you would happen to be where the Buddha happened to walk to. Otherwise, well, you have to wait till you meet and you don't even know where he's going or where he's at, right? So it's not always the case. So the monks, they got together and they had discussions, asked questions from one another, and Dhamma Sakacha, or discussion of the Dhamma, is a very important aspect, a factor for enlightenment. Yeah, it comes as one of the important factors. So then, one of the bhikkhus then explains. So the first bhikkhu who he asked the question says, when, friend, a bhikkhu understands as they really are the origin and the passing away of the six bases for contact. Passayatana in here, yeah? Six bases of contact. In this way, his vision is purified. So he's saying that when somebody sees the arising of the I and passing away of the I, Interesting question, right? Is it when the baby is born, the eye is born, and when we die, the eye is gone? It's not that deep enough, right? It's not anything that is very powerful. What is this origin and passing away? Samudaya and Vaya. So the eye is not just talking about the fleshy eye. The fleshy eye is just like a camera. It's just a thing made up of the elements. Yeah, it doesn't know anything really. The eye is just a um, like an apparatus. That's all. But when you say pasayatana, when it's called an ayatana, ayatana is like a company or a department or a place where things are made or produced. Yeah. So this is interesting. The idea of an ayatana is a place of production. So eye, it's not just the fleshy eye. When the eye is active and able to produce something, yeah, based on contact. So contact happens when the eye meets with a object, some kind of form. And when we give attention to that, so when these three things come together, when an eye and a form comes together because of giving the attention, the eye consciousness arises. When the three are there, it is called contact, eye contact. As a result of that, we have a experience of sight. So the sight, when this is happening, so this is when it is called the passayatana, faculty of contact. Yeah, so a base of contact. Eye is a base of contact. And what does it produce? Yeah, because a place of ayatana is something that produces something. What does the eye produce? We would like to think that it produces happiness, right? When we see nice things, nice sights, we like to enjoy delightful, tantalizing sights. We like to enjoy. But how long does that enjoyment last for? And what happens when that enjoyment is over? And more than that, based on sight, many other things also, problems also arise, right? So the thing is, it actually produces suffering. Yeah. So pasayatana, the salayatana, the pasayatana means that the faculties of contact produce suffering as a result. But the thing is now here, so when the ending of suffering happens, when we understand completely and fully what this eye is all about, not just the fleshy eye, but the eye as a base for contact when it's in operation, right? So in order to understand that, we understand, yeah, the eye becomes active and becomes a base of production when contact happens. But when the contact passes away because we give attention to something else, then that the contact based on sight comes to an end. So when we see this more and more, what we come to understand is that everything is impermanent, only there and conditionally arisen, yeah, paticca samuppanna, yeah, everything is conditionally arisen. And when the conditions fall away, the experience also comes to an end. This is very powerful because in general, our feeling is that things are permanent, that things would last for a long time. But this gets shaken when we see more and more this arising and passing away of our experiences. But as a result of contact, what we have is experiences. We can't hold on to the ones that we really like. We can't really push away also when we are going through a difficult time. But we see, with when the contact changes, the experience change. together with that, because what comes after contact? Feeling, yeah? The feeling based on sight, sound, touch, taste, body contact or mind contact, all of those things also change and pass away. So it's a powerful thing, this understanding, when it comes to this understanding, when somebody comes to understand what is going on as we experience life through sights, sounds, taste, smells, touches, and thoughts. As we watch them, we come to see the transient nature of these things, really unreliable nature of these things. So it's quite a powerful statement that this first bhikkhu said, saying that if we are able to see this in our life, then our vision is purified. The reason why we can't see this properly is our hindrances are still there, right? So when the hindrances are still there, even though we know this as a knowledge, we still long for the things, the beautiful things, the delightful, tantalizing things that we see, we hear, we taste, we touch, we smell, all of these things become attractive to us. Also, the things that are difficult, disgusting, we get repelled by them. We want to get rid of them. It's still a wanting. Yeah, want to get rid. So we want to chase after things that we like and run away from the things that we don't like. And that is because we get fooled by our experiences. It's really hard to break this while the hindrances are active. When the sensuality has some footing in our mind, it is really difficult for us not to see the beauty in something, the attractiveness of something, the taste and enjoy. We can't help it, yeah? And there's a beautiful sound. We can't help but delight because sensuality is active in our mind. It inclines towards that. Ill will and negativity is there. So then we also get, into friction with these things. And if sloth and torpor is there, we don't know what's going on. And when there is restlessness again, we can't see what's going on. We're so busy, we don't know what's happening. And when there's doubt, we're confused as well. So when these things are there, it's really hard. So that is why, it's important that we do these things in our day-to-day life so we get some understanding, we see some aspects, but what doesn't happen is that our longing for these things, our craving for these things don't completely go away. They reduce. And this is important because reduction of these things is important for us to be able to meditate deeply. However, the true nature of the I and its working, we can only see when the hindrances are completely not there, completely gone. And when does that happen? So the hindrances are completely gone when we are in first jhana. So that is why it is really important, yeah? The eighth factor of the Noble Eightfold Path is the jhanas. So it is necessary to have a mindfulness that is so powerful, so free from the hindrances, to be able to truly see what is going on and understand the eye as a base of contact, ear as a base of contact, and it's arising and it's passing away. To fully understand it so that disenchantment or nibbida happens. Yeah. So attraction and our longing to the eye and things that we see completely dies out. Our attraction, our longing for the sounds, for the taste, touches, smells, and thoughts, all of these things completely die down when we really truly see the arising and passing away of these things, when we really start to see deeply the contact happening, and there's only just that. Nobody here, only contact. Yeah. So anyway, so that's quite a powerful thing. But of course, the first bhikkhu was not that happy. Yeah. Then the first bhikkhu dissatisfied with the other's answer. I don't know why he was dissatisfied. Maybe the sense basis was not his thing. Right? So he couldn't understand. So he went and approached another bhikkhu and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a bhikkhu's vision well purified?" So the second bhikkhu says, "When, friend, a bhikkhu understands as they really are the origin and passing away of the five aggregates subject to clinging," Panchupadana Khandha in Pali. In this way, his vision is well purified. And then I'm not going to go into detail, otherwise I won't finish or get to the simile. We can talk about these things. It's in almost a similar manner. But then again, the first bhikkhu was dissatisfied. And then he goes to another bhikkhu and asks the same question. And the third bhikkhu says, "When, friend, a bhikkhu understands as it really is the origin and passing away of the four great elements." Yeah. These are the dhatus, yeah, the four great elements. In this way, his vision is well purified. But it's interesting, all the three, the monks or the monastics said, seeing the origin and passing away, samudaya and vaya, either of the sense basis of contact, or the five aggregates, or the elements. Then this first bhikkhu is still not happy. And he goes to a fourth bhikkhu and asks, "In what way, friend, is the bhikkhu's vision well purified?" And the fourth bhikkhu says, he understands it really is whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. Yang kinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang. In this way, his vision is purified. So everything that is constructed, that is made, so everything except nibbana, everything else is made up. Yeah, sankharas, they are conditioned things. So whatever is the nature to arise, so all of the above, whatever the other four bhikkhus mentioned, the basis of contact, the five aggregates, the elements, just the internal ones, the external ones, all of these things, because they were saying origin and passing away. So whatever is the nature to origin has the nature to pass away, because this is the understanding somebody comes to. So this yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang is a knowledge, in the sense insight, a deep insight somebody gets at the time of stream winning. Yeah, this is the really big insight of a stream winner. They really understand that whatever has come to be has the nature to pass away. Yes, it's quite powerful statement, quite very inspiring statement as well. So quite powerful. Then still this first bhikkhu was dissatisfied. But we should be happy with him, because he was dissatisfied, we got this beautiful sutta. Right? Because he went to all these people, otherwise he wouldn't have got this really powerful sutta. Anyway, he goes to the fourth one and asks the same question. So no, he actually goes to the Buddha, right? Not to another bhikkhu. He wasn't happy with the other four, so he goes directly to the master himself. Yeah, goes to the Buddha and reported everything, and then says, "In what way, Venerable Sir, is a bhikkhu's vision well purified?" Now here comes the first simile, a beautiful one, a powerful one. So this is what the Buddha says. "Bhikkhu, suppose there was a man who had never before seen a Kimsuka tree." Kimsuka is the name of a tree. They say it is what we know as the flame tree, or I think it's the Erebodhu tree, which has really big red flowers. And sometimes it just looks like completely red in one season. He might approach a man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask him, "Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree look like?" The other man answered, "Good man, a Kimsuka tree is blackish, like a charred stump." On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Then that man, dissatisfied with the other answer, might approach another man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask him, "Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree like?" The other man answers, "Good man, a Kimsuka tree is reddish like a piece of meat." On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Then, of course, he's not happy, goes to a third one and asks the same question. And he says, "Good man, a Kimsuka tree has strips of bark hanging down and burst pods like an acacia tree." And on that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Again, not happy, goes and asks a fourth person and say, "Good man, a Kimsuka tree has plenty of leaves and foliage and gives abundant shade like a banyan tree." And on that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. So too, Bhikkhu, those superior men answered as they were disposed in just the way their own vision had been well purified. So all these five bhikkhus who answered were arahants, or at least Aryans. Yeah, at least they have had the vision. Yeah, they had the purified, well purified vision. But their vision was purified in the way that they have practiced. So they just explained according to their own experience, how they have experienced it, how they understood it. Yeah. So that's it. Suppose bhikkhus. Okay. So before going into the next simile, this Kimsuka tree simile is quite a powerful one, right? It has other implications as well, because when it's a deciduous tree in the four seasons, it looks different, right? Because when it's flowering, you just see it's fully covered with the flowers. When it is in the spring, so that is in the flowering season. After the flowers, you see the green foliage come and bearing of fruit. If you see it at autumn, it's like a different color when it's shedding the leaves, and after it has shed the leaves in the winter, it looks like a dead tree, right? So the same tree looks so different. So this is why sometimes this is going sidetrack a little bit, but using that same beautiful simile, sometimes, who are we to judge other people, right? Sometimes we have contact and see somebody for a short period of time, and we think we know them now. But we have only seen them during a certain phase of their life. Just we have seen them in one season. Yes, whatever we saw during that season is true, but that's not all, the whole person, the whole thing, right? We change. So it's quite powerful to remember this, right? When we have judgments about people, remember that sometimes we have probably maybe seen them during one season. Maybe they have other sides to them that we haven't seen, to put things in balance. That's just a sidetrack from the powerful story, but nevertheless, it's a really beautiful one, this Kimsuka tree simile. But in this occasion, this is to understand that it's not one way. Yeah, they come to the same place, but the path they come through could be different. So some people may be meditating on the five aggregates, Panchupadana Kanda, understanding it. as impermanent, as non-self, seeing the arising and passing away of this. And others may be, paying attention to seeing the arising and passing away of these bases for contact. Yet others, they may be meditating on the elements. Yeah. So, and when they meditate like this, of course, they come into the understanding whatever is the nature to arise has the nature to pass away. So there are many ways that we practice, but that's what the Buddha says. And then comes to the really powerful simile. So too, bhikkhu, those superior men, okay, that part we already said. So suppose, bhikkhu, a king had a frontier city with strong ramparts, walls, and arches, and with 6 gates. The gatekeeper posted there would be wise, competent, and intelligent, one who keeps out strangers and admits acquaintances. A swift pair of messengers would come from east and ask the gatekeeper, "Where, good man, is the lord of the city?" He would reply, "He is sitting in the central square." Then the swift pair of messengers would deliver a message of reality to the lord of the city and leave by the route by which they had arrived. Similarly, a messenger would come from the west, from the north, from the south, deliver their message and leave by the route by which they had arrived. I have made up this simile, bhikkhu, in order to convey a meaning. This is the meaning here. The city, this is a designation for this body, consisting of the 4 great elements, originating from mother and father, built up of boiled rice and gruel, subject to impermanence, to being worn and rubbed away, to breaking apart and dispersal. The 6 gates, this is a designation for the 6 internal sense bases. The gatekeeper is a designation for mindfulness. The swift pair of messengers is a designation for serenity and insight, samatha and vipassana. The lord of the city, this is a designation for consciousness. The central square, this is a designation for the 4 great elements. The earth element, the water element, the heat element, and the fire element. A message of reality, this is a designation for nibbana, extinguishment. The route by which they had arrived, this is the designation for the Noble Eightfold Path. That is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right stillness. So that's where the sutta ends, but quite powerful. If you take a moment, you can almost imagine you are like this big city, right? Imagine just metamorph, metam, transform yourself into like a city, right? Your body is like this city. So you're sitting in the center square, which is made up of the elements. So this is what this body is like, right? It's made up of all these elements. What sits in the center? What's the whole, like the core that we feel is our consciousness, right? It feels like the big boss. Consciousness feels like the big boss, the lord of the city, right in the middle of all of this. And of course, we also have these 6 gates, right? Gate of the eye, ear, nose, tongue, touches, and the mind. So these are the 6 gates. And very interesting, right? At every gate, we must have a sharp gatekeeper, which is mindfulness. So this is about the sense restraint, right? So we have to start with sense restraint. Very powerfully, very important. We don't restrain our senses, guard our senses with mindfulness. It is impossible for us to understand what's going on. So quite a beautiful simile, right? So in the eye, all the places we have to establish mindfulness, right? Mindfulness. It's not just in the mind, but mind with relate to all these six gates, because through any one of these gates, all kinds of robbers can come and rob us away. Yeah. In the sense that, we could end up doing unskillful things that we fail then, and then we go backwards in our spiritual journey. So this is the thing, we get fooled by things that come through these gates in disguise. So, that is where we have to be very careful with eye, with ear, nose, tongue, touches, and mind. So very powerful. So there are these gates. And then there are these 6 paths leading out. So these are the places, right, for sight, sound, touches, all of these things, experiences. And it's interesting, the Buddha says, through every path, a pair of messengers come, samatha and vipassana, serenity and insight. So they're a pair. They cannot be separated. They're like Siamese twins walking together. Yeah, because people ask, do you just do samatha and get enlightened? Do you just do vipassana and get enlightened? They're like, like Ajahn Chah says beautifully, it's like the hand, the back of the hand and the front of the hand. You can't separate, right? They're together. So samatha and vipassana is together. This is what brings the deep insight. So they bring the message of truth, which is nibbana, understanding. This is the vision, purified vision comes to you when they deliver the message. It's quite beautiful, quite powerful, because the path itself is the Noble Eightfold Path. So what does the Buddha say here in this simile? The Noble Eightfold Path is to be practiced at each sense base of contact, With the eye, you practice the Noble Eightfold Path. With sights you see. With sounds you hear. With touches, tastes, feelings, and thoughts. At every place, we have to apply the Noble Eightfold Path. Now, how do we do that in our practical day-to-day life? And also in meditation. Because otherwise, it doesn't happen. Because this is a powerful simile, and it is a simile from the Buddha. And he says, this is how it is done. So take a moment to think about it, how powerful it is. And so it is the Noble Eightfold Path that gets us enlightened, right? That is the only path. If you say, Kayano, I am Bhikkhave Maggo, even though that comes up in the Satipatthana Sutta, Satipatthana is the 7th factor, Noble Eightfold Path is the path, the only path that gets you enlightened. So, so this is where I'm going to repeat my very favorite story. Some of you have heard it, but for the benefit of somebody who hasn't heard it, but also to bring it alive and remember how to apply, the Noble Eightfold Path in our base of eye, base of ear, tongue, all of these places. So this is the simile, this is the story from my own life about this, when I went for a walk. When I went for a walk right here at Santi Forest Monastery. When we first arrived here, one beautiful sunny morning, I went for a walk. Mindfully, very carefully, because I didn't want to get lost, because I didn't know where I was going, and it's quite a wild forest here. And so I was walking. And then another nun who I came here with another nun, and she also had gone for a walk. She's not here with us anymore, but at that time. So she too had thought of going for a walk to get herself familiar. And then, of course, when two people meet, what happens? We start talking and talking and walking. So the mindfulness is a little down. And, but still, I had good fortune, which is why I'm still sitting here and talking to you. And the nun walking in front of me had a little bit more mindfulness, luckily, thank goodness. So, we were on a narrow path walking, and suddenly she put her hand out to stop me. And just to see a very big black snake, a red belly black snake, already lifted itself up, ready to strike, right? Just in front of you. Pretty scary, yeah? And this is when I ask if I had a live audience, I do have two, three people here, what would you do? Yeah? What would you do if you were in front of a scary snake? Yeah, I'll tell you what what I wanted to do. I wanted to run for my life because I'm so scared. I did not want anything to do with this snake in front of me. I'm so, scared of it. But before I could do anything, the other nun grabbed my hand quite strongly. She's only very small compared to me, but quite strong. But she was very firm, but she was calm. I felt her calmness. So because she was calm and I trust her, I calmed down and I stayed. Anyway, I can't run because she's holding me. In my mind, I said, what are you doing? Let's run. But of course, I didn't. She had a different plan. Then, of course, we just became very still. Waited. Then I can remember we were looking at the snake and the snake looking at us. His glassy, marble like eyes directly looking. Yeah? Ready, but waiting. Then slowly we took a couple of steps back, still watching. And after that, what this nun did was the interesting part. Something that nobody would imagine because many people say, sometimes they say, oh, you'll freeze. Yeah, that's normal. Some people want to run, some people want to scream. This is what I normally hear people say. If I were you, I would scream, I would run, I would freeze. But of course, we know, I mean, that is because we are all Buddhists and we keep our precepts. But there are people who would also kill, right? It's also quite normal to kill a snake because they are scared, they think it's dangerous for the wildlife, for the children. So killing is also a response. Yeah, these are the kind of responses: running, screaming, freezing, or killing, common ones. But of course, we didn't do any one of those things. Instead, interestingly, this nun, she's really, really sweet one. So she spoke very sweetly to this snake and said, oh, we didn't know you were here. I can't really imitate her. I'm trying my very best. And she said, oh, it is a beautiful day. You must be having a nice sunbathing. We were just going for a walk, but we don't have to go that way. You enjoy your day. Have a really, really nice day. Yeah, she said like this. So if I was the snake, I would be completely flattered because it was so sweet, with so much love, so much kindness, so much enormous respect. Yeah, the way she spoke, wow. Only if that snake understood. Did the snake understand? If any of you have pets, yeah, animals do understand. Maybe not this concept of sunbathing and having a nice day and all those things, but the snake understood, the felt that we were not going to kill. There was no fear. There was no disrespect. Instead, the incredible kindness, the compassion, love, respect, giving itself its space, all of that it would have felt. They feel us, right? Because of course, snakes are not only deaf, also don't know English, right? No English. They only feel vibration. So of course the words didn't do anything, but it's the heart. Yeah, it's her heart that the snake would have felt. Of course, even if we wanted to go ahead, if we just waited then said, can you please allow us to move? We want to go forward. And if we stay 100% guaranteed, the snake would have slithered away and allowed us to move. So quite beautiful, unexpected way of behavior, unexpected response at a place where majority of the people would have screamed, run, froze, or kill. Instead, you got quite opposite kind of way of dealing with this situation. And this is where I stop and ask people, do you meet black snakes in your day-to-day life? And some people say, no, no snakes, especially in New Zealand, no snakes, right? But smart people say, yes, we do. Yeah, this is the snake-like situations, snake-like people in the sense, people who trigger or situations that trigger fear, terror, anxiety, worry, even strong desires, sadness, worry, any form of strong negative emotion. Yeah, it's like a black snake situation. So this could be something that we see, right? So now listen on, right? So Noble Eightfold Path is now coming up. It could be based on something we just heard. It could be because of something we smelt or even tasted or felt or even a thought, an idea, a memory. So in these 6 places, snakes come in, we meet them. How do we normally respond if it is a difficult one? Yeah, we scream. Have you seen people screaming? Yes. Or you run away from the situation. Or you freeze. Or you kill the situation with verbal daggers, right? You kill the situation or the person. So, but what is this? Is this applying the Noble Eightfold Path? Not skillful, right? Because when we do this, what happens? We have done actions by body, speech, and mind that are unskillful. As a result of a sense experience, we have done and acted in a way that is unskillful. But this is where what the nun did was very powerful. She did the opposite, right? It's really skillful, really beautiful. Yeah. Not negative at all the positive, wholesome ways of responding. And our problem is we forget that we have this choice. Every time we have an experience, we have these 2 choices. Either to respond in a negative way that is unskillful, or not a negative, in an unskillful way or a skillful way. So this is where, as practitioners keen on awakening, that we apply the Noble Eightfold Path. Here is a summary version for you to expand, and that is when it becomes more powerful, right? It is powerful when you try. I'm going to just give you the idea, the base, and when you do it as a mental exercise yourself, then it becomes really powerful for you. So, what does right view does? Let's say it's an instant of hearing something that you don't like. Somebody maybe scolded you, yeah, or spoke very harshly to you. So when that kind of thing happens, if you remember even one aspect of right view is so large, so I'm not going to be able to go through the entire thing. But when you know all the aspects of right view, you can see not every situation, every aspect of right view comes, but some aspect of right view come. But one of the most important ones is the understanding. This is in the Kammasakata Sammaditthi, that is the understanding of the working of Kamma, and vipaka. Your intentional actions have consequences, right? If we remember this every time we respond to the world, would we ever do anything stupid? Anything unskillful? No, isn't it? But of course, we don't remember right view. We forget about it and we go right ahead and shout back at the person who shouted at us. Or even we might hit, we might kill, not physically, hopefully, but some people even kill physically too as a result of that. All these unskillful things happen, right? Because of not having right view or forgetting right view. But if you have right view at that time, remembering just karma, vipaka, and rebirth, yeah, that would stop and change the way you would respond. So this is why you need to have a mindfulness, a sharp gatekeeper at the eye, in the ear, tongue. So each time these things happen, snakes try to come in, or bad guys try to come in, the mindfulness reminds you, look, be careful. Yes, you need to put your boundaries, safeguard your city. You need to do the right thing, but you have to be skillful in what you do and how you do this. Yeah. Noble Eightfold Path. So right view tells you at least that much. But of course, understanding the impermanence of things, how transient these things. The other way to understand is somebody's shouting and screaming and behaving so badly to you. You really hear it's only sound at the end of the day. The person is mad because which person in their right mind would behave like that to another person, right? Screaming, shouting, yelling, it's never the way to communicate anything. Even if you've done something not nice or good, in their opinion, shouting and screaming is not the way to deliver the message. It's not useful. But whenever people do like this, they are temporarily insane. Yeah. So anyway, so when we understand that's only sound and it passes away, and when that contact ends, that's finished. But we are so good at remembering it, bringing it back, and munching over it many more times, making mental contact and still suffering. They said this to me, how terrible, how bad, they shouldn't have, I didn't do it, this is not right. Yeah, suffer so much more. But if we remember, that was just the rising of sound, an experience of sound, and it's passed away now. Yes, if you need to do something about it, take action. But you're worrying, getting angry, getting upset, is that any going to help you? It doesn't, according to the Buddha's teachings. So right view gives you all of this information. Yeah. So that is where you practice right view every time. Yeah. And then right intention. So in this instance, let's take the snake story. Yeah. So did we have right view? Yes, because we remembered, so we didn't kill the snake, we didn't do any of those things. We behaved differently. Remembering that, instead of going in the negative way of or unskilled way of responding, we responded in a skillful way. So right intention, renunciation, non-ill will, and non-cruelty. So was that in place? Yeah, but did we have ill will and cruelty? Not at all. Yeah, renunciation is giving up of the sensual world. So different parts apply differently. So this is where, so right view leads to right intention, because when you remember at least the karma and vipaka, you don't act with negativity, ill will, and cruelty, because you realize there are consequences. So right intention that springs up from that right view. So the important thing is at every sense base, you have like glasses or like a filter of right view. So your experience gets filtered through right view as it comes in and as your action goes out. Yeah. So that is where that gatekeeper is doing this job. So then right intention comes up. Then of course the speech is right. So of course the nun speech, was it nice speech? Kind, caring, truthful, yeah, full of metta. So right intention, because full of metta, full of kindness, the opposites of the non-cruelty, cruelty, opposite of cruelty is compassion. Yeah, all of those things. So the intention was right, the speech was right, and of course we didn't kill at that time. So of course, right action. So in the same way, you have to apply this. This is where it becomes fascinating when you try to apply to each sense door. How do you practice with your various experiences? You take your most repeated snakes. Yeah, there are many repetitive snakes that come into your life all the time. You can understand, next time when this person does this to me, or when this situation comes up in my life, how am I going to respond? How am I going to actively incorporate the Noble Eightfold Path? Yeah. So, and of course, the right livelihood doesn't really come in at every occasion. That's something you have to decide and do. The job that you do, your livelihood to look after yourself, but right effort. Yeah, right effort is exactly doing all of these things, right? Taking your mind away from doing unskillful and inclining it towards skillfulness. So, right effort is absolutely in operation when we are doing that. And do you need mindfulness for this? Absolutely, yeah. Without mindfulness, you would not be doing anything. You'll be habitually doing what you would habitually do, which is run from the situation, kill the situation, scream at the situation, or freeze, or any one of those things. But when there is mindfulness, of course, we can engage. This is not the right mindfulness, because right mindfulness can also come in, but also situational awareness, or sati sampajanya. At the sense basis, the first thing that works outside of meditation is sati sampajanya. So mindfulness together with wisdom, together with the Buddha's teachings and understanding. So that is what informs you what's the right thing to do. So, but of course, when this is happening in meditation, of course, then it is right mindfulness, because you understand the body for what it is, you understand the feelings for what it is, you understand mind and mental phenomena for what they are, right? So, of course, depends. If we are doing this outside of a sitting meditation, it's sati sampajanya. In sitting meditation, formally, it is mindfulness, right mindfulness. And of course, when you do all of these, so 6 factors can be applied in day-to-day life and in meditation. The result of that is entering deep meditation. Because if you take care of your day-to-day activities and you've done the very best, you inclined your mind towards the wholesome and stayed cleared of unwholesome. And that is where we are applying the Noble Eightfold Path every wakeful moment, if we can. Yeah, if we can. That is what the Buddha says. That is what applying Noble Eightfold Path is about. It is not when you are at the monastery, going on a retreat from time to time when you are, doing meditation. This is not, yeah. If we are keen on awakening, Noble Eightfold Path is to be practiced every wakeful moment. Of course, it's a big ask because, mindfulness is not strong enough. So we forget and habits take the better of us. So we have to be patient, but that is the goal. That is where a lot of our practice is. Right? So this is really, that's why this is a beautiful, beautiful simile. We are like this city, yeah, with all these elements and the 6 sense bases, like, the gates. And we have to have the mindfulness as the gatekeeper and practicing the Noble Eightfold Path at all the 6 places. And when we do that, so that is where serenity and insight, the messengers come. That's the 8th factor of the Eightfold Path, and the 9 and 10 factors like knowledge and vision coming. Yeah, insight coming after the samadhi. So that is the 2 messengers which come on the noble as a result of the Noble Eightfold Path practicing. Yeah, you reach deep meditation, and after deep meditation, your vision is cleared. You see things clearly for what they are. And that is when the message of the truth is delivered to the Lord, to the consciousness. Yeah. So you understand extinguishment happens because when we see there is nobody here, this city that I took myself to be, this body that I took, these feelings, these the perceptions, the mental formations, the consciousness even, that is the five aggregates. Or if I took myself to be the one who sees, one who hears, one who tastes, feels, touch, all of these things, the six sense bases, or this very body, the elements, any one of these things, if we took as myself, but with deep meditation, when we understand the arising and passing away of these things, it's just a process, conditionally arisen, paticca samuppanna dhamma, these are, yeah? And they just finish, kaya dhammam, vaya dhamma, yeah? This is what the Buddha says, they are subject to vanishing. So this is where the first stage of stream entry happens also, where yankinchi samudaya dhammang sabbantang nirodha dhammang becomes a insight for you. You understand everything that comes to be. Yeah, everything that arises has the nature to pass away. Very powerful insight comes to us. Even if it is not the really powerful insight yet, not a stream winner yet, still more and more this idea comes to you. With it comes a deep sense of peace, a deep sense of freedom. Because when we forget that, when recent feelings are really hard to bear and feels like they're going to be there forever, it's difficult for us. We fight. Life becomes unbearable. Experiences become unbearable. All of that happens when we forget this very truth, this very powerful insight, whatever. All our mind states, our crazy mind, it's made up. Made up by who? The other person? No, made up by me, right? Made up by each one of us, based on the views, perceptions that we have taken on board, our past experiences, habits. All of those things concoct our present experience, tells a story about it to us, and we believe it. But a little later, this very mind itself tells the story a little bit different. By lunchtime, something else. By nighttime, completely opposite story. Isn't that the case? We have all experienced that. The mind is never to be trusted. It cooks up, concocts all kinds of things. And when we see that unreliability of what it concocts, it's my own mind. It's not a story somebody else told me. It's my own mind telling, relating to the very experience. In the morning, one way, lunchtime, another way, evening time, another way. Sometimes it's not even that long. Within matter of minutes also it changes. When we see this changing nature of the mind contacts how transient they are, how unreliable they are, how short-lived they are. Only this much. When we start to see that, it's really, really powerful. So this is the power of remembering this Yankinchi Samudaya Dhamma. For anybody not as yet a stream winner, even remembering the teaching itself is powerful. But of course, for a stream winner, it's very powerful because everything, it's established already. Whatever they experience, they are not as shaken. Yeah, because they remember, okay, this is difficult, but it passes away. Everything just arise and there's passing away. There's nobody here. That is why the Sakkaya Ditthi, the self-identity view or the view of self is gone for them. They just see just a bunch of conditions arising and passing away. That's all there is. Quite beautiful, isn't it? So this is what happens when we practice in this way. In this way, and of course in meditation is when, and then of course this similes, the last part is that the serenity and insight, the two messengers depart in the way from the way they came. What does that mean? Interesting, yeah, interesting. It's just that, the salayatana nirodha, Yeah, in this one, especially because it's mainly based on the 6 gates. So the Buddha is mainly talking about the first one, that is the 6 bases of contact as a way of, and that means the salayatana nirodha means a cessation of the sense bases. Yeah, so the eye ceases, ear ceases, tongue, nose, body, and mind ceases. Does it mean we disappear? When we are an arahant, we don't have an eye? No, eye is not a faculty, a base where something is produced. So we said, what it produces is suffering. So suffering is no longer produced. It's not an ayatana anymore. A fleshy eye is see. I can see, but suffering is not produced as a result. In the sense, mental suffering and future sufferings are also not born. I mean, an arahant has suffering like physical pain, not suffering, but physical painful feelings are there. But that's all. Yeah, so it's really interesting. So salayatana nirodho nibbana. So the serenity and insight too ends in the sense, you don't maintain your deep meditation, which is serenity, and the insight, you have an insight and it's done its job. As a result, your eye ceases to function in the same way it used to based on the defilements. Instead, now it's operating with the spirit, with wisdom. So it's a very different way of operation. Yeah, so it's kind of really beautiful, really deep, also full of things to learn, how to practice, and the power, a beautiful map, a beautiful simile, and a deep understanding.